Good evening, YouTube family. It's July 1st, and do a short little video here, let all the family and anybody else watching know how things are going here on the Alaska homestead. We have our first fire in this valley here, about 40 miles north here. Winds blowing. I don't know if you can tell here, but all that blue haze there and that marvelous orange sun to the north now, since we're at about 11 hours and 40 minutes of sunlight. 19 hours and 40 minutes of sunlight today. It's not much of a night, but it's kind of an orange sky for us. Anyways, you can maybe see some of the bluish haze here. Anyways, been working on the orchard here, trying to get a bunch of trees in. I'll walk us down this way here past the construction project from last fall that I left off, as y'all were paying attention here. This is the structure that will be the pole barn that will be for the tractor, and workshop, at least common workshop. The woodworking shop will be a separate building. Wasn't a bad winter, and it's been an amazing summer. We've had let's see, this whole week we've had temperatures in the high 80s to 90s. In the shade, if you can find it, the orchard's been running out here, and the orchard and the garden's been running about 116 or 118 during the day. So it's just been a glorious, glorious summer so far. All the orchard trees are looking pretty good. You can see they've put on some serious height since last year. They're up above the fence here, which is about 7 feet here. It's, at least this year anyways, it was moose proof. What I'm doing is, because I've got several more trees, this orchard, I've designed it so that I can keep extending it back. So what I've done, you can see don't have a backhoe here, but I've got a mattock and shovel. So I've excavated some more dirt here, and actually a lot of dirt, and I'm extending it out 10 feet at a time as I go. So as I need more space, I keep excavating back, and I've got several more trees into the main. So the main original part of the orchard here, it's as full as it's going to be, and I keep other trees in here. You can see some Scott pines in there, and I've got some rowan trees and aspen, or some birch rather, and Virginiana, Prunus virginiana, and let's see, what some other birches in there. It's kind of a nursery, so the snowshoe hares don't get them. We're running into high cycle here in the Copper River Valley, so the snowshoe hare are like plague level out here right now, and they will devour anything. As you can see here, I didn't have a fence around my poor little pear tree, and that little green thing there in the center of the screen, that was a nice little pear tree last fall, but I'm afraid, despite the fact I used a brush hedge around them, the snowshoes got in there. So, but it's coming back strong. It says it wants to live, so I'll let it do its thing here. Anyways, so I've done this excavation here today. Got the, oh yes, that tree stump, that was fun. So dug that spruce tree out, and tomorrow I'll add in some fence, and this whole back wall of this fence on the orchard here, this all just unscrews as one big unit, and then I just hop it back another 10 feet to these posts here, and then 10 feet and 10 feet and so on. I've put in, not that you can see them through the woods there, but up there and over all along the bluff here, around all those tree circles there, I've got birch trees. I will probably not live to see it, but hopefully future generations will be able to have birch trees that they can tap for syrup right here. Up on the hill, there are some trees that I've used since about 1974 that I've tapped. But they on the whole, birch trees haven't migrated here naturally yet too much like they have in other places in the state of Alaska. So this is what I've been working on right here, staying kind of close to home. Tonight we've got a wounded grizzly here. He's bleeding and limping on his back leg, so we've called Fish and Game. So don't want to play with a wounded grizzly here, so I'm not getting too far from the cabin site here until fishing game come and get it, or it gets too close and causes a problem. But just keeping our eyes open for this wounded bleeding bear. Apparently, I think they were two bears fighting down at the river here for salmon rights, because the sockeye salmon are running down below, and fishing grounds are pretty scarce, so good fishing sites end up having some pretty good fights over them, and you can occasionally, from even right up here at the top of the bluff, you can hear those bears fighting over the best fishing grounds. It's quite the sound when you hear two bears roaring and fighting. They really get to it. Anyways, that's about it for right now. Just been doing gardening and greenhouse, a lot of catching up and getting this place ready to go for some building hopefully later. I've been dropping trees to turn into lumber for the tractor barn, but other than that, mostly gardening and hanging out, living the life here. This is what it's about. And so tonight, July 1, 19 hours and 40 minutes daylight later. A little bit of smoke, but a beautiful night out nonetheless. Wish you all a very good night, and I'll get back to posting this at some point in time whenever I can get to where there's some signal. Take care all. Good night.